Welcome to Echoes of Wisdom, a place where the voices of the past speak to the struggles of our present. Here, we explore the ideas of thinkers who lived through storms greater than ours, and yet, they left us blueprints for serenity, clarity, and strength. Today, we step into the world of Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who faced chaos not with despair, but with calm, an inner calm so profound that even 2,000 years later, his wisdom still guides us. Imagine this for a moment. You are not just living your life quietly, not just working to provide for your family, not just struggling with personal disappointments. You are the leader of the most powerful empire in the world. Armies march at your command, but also against you. Enemies lie not only at your borders, but also in your court. Betrayal, plague, war. These are not distant problems. They are the weight of your everyday reality. Your people look to you for stability, yet every dawn brings another crisis. Most of us would collapse under such pressure. We would be crushed by fear, anger, and resentment. But Marcus Aurelius did not collapse. He carried that weight. He endured. And he endured with dignity. His personal reflections, written in solitude and never intended for the public, became what we now call meditations. In those pages, we don't find a man clinging to power, but a man clinging to reason, to virtue, to peace of mind. This is where the question strikes us. How? How does a man, surrounded by ceaseless turmoil, find stillness? How does someone not just survive chaos, but remain calm within it? And more importantly, how can we, ordinary people in a modern world full of its own storms, apply the same principles to our own lives? Marcus's wisdom begins not with the outside world, but with the inner world. He understood that chaos will always exist. It is the nature of life. You cannot escape it. You cannot wish it away. But what you can do is change your relationship to it. He once wrote, "If you are disturbed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is more than philosophy. This is a survival skill. In every moment, Marcus Aurelius chose to master his own mind rather than be mastered by his circumstances. He trained himself to remain calm when the world spun violently around him. And that's exactly what we are going to explore today. In this journey, we will uncover the three principles that shaped Marcus's unshakable calm. Controlling the mind instead of the world, transforming trials into teachers, and aligning with the greater order of life. Stay with us, because by the end, you may see chaos not as an enemy to fear, but as a chance to become unbreakable. Control what you can, let go of what you can't. Marcus Aurelius lived in a world defined by uncontrollable storms. As emperor, his life was a constant theater of unpredictability. Military uprisings at the borders, the Antonine Plague sweeping through cities, political betrayal lurking behind every alliance. Yet, even with this crushing weight, his writings never echo despair. Instead, they return again and again to a single principle. Focus on what is within your control and let go of what lies beyond it. This simple division, the controllable versus the uncontrollable, was the bedrock of his calm. It was not just a mental trick. It was a disciplined philosophy, a way of reshaping the very lens through which life was viewed. The illusion of control. Modern life, like ancient Rome, seduces us with the illusion that we can control more than we actually can. We obsess over how people perceive us. We agonize over outcomes. We fight against events that lie completely outside our reach. But Marcus reminds us, the external world is indifferent to our desires. The weather changes, people betray, fortunes collapse. The universe doesn't bend to our will simply because we wish it to. In Meditations, Marcus wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This statement is deceptively simple, yet its depth is revolutionary. He is telling us that serenity begins when we stop trying to control what was never ours to control. Think about the hours we waste worrying about the opinions of others. A friend doesn't text back. A colleague criticizes us. A stranger online mocks us. We feel anxious, angry, defensive. Yet Marcus would say, their thoughts are not yours. Their judgments are outside your command. You can choose to act with integrity, but you cannot dictate the hearts of others. By clinging to what lies outside, you chain yourself to disappointment. The inner fortress. Instead of stretching his hands to grasp the uncontrollable, Marcus turned inward. He built what we might call an inner fortress, a citadel of the mind that no chaos could breach. Within that fortress, the only master was reason. The only ruler was choice. He reminded himself daily, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Notice the shift here. The chaos outside, the war, the plague, the betrayal. These were not the true causes of suffering. The true cause was perception, the judgment we attach to events. If we label something unbearable, it becomes unbearable. If we interpret it differently, it loses its sting. This insight is astonishing in its power. Imagine for a moment that you could separate your inner peace from the storms of life. Imagine knowing that while the world may collapse, your mind could stand firm, untouched. That was the gift Marcus gave himself, and it is the gift he offers us. Modern chaos, ancient wisdom. We may not lead empires, but we live in an age of chaos all the same. Notifications flood our screens. News cycles scream disasters every hour. Social media amplifies conflict and comparison. We are constantly pulled into battles we never chose, drained by things we cannot control. Here, Marcus Aurelius speaks to us directly across time. He would say, limit your field of concern. Narrow your focus. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If yes, act with virtue and clarity. If no, let it go as you would let go of smoke in the air. For example, can you control whether others respect you? No. But you can control whether you act in a way that deserves respect. Can you control whether the market crashes? No. But you can control your spending, your work ethic, your attitude toward loss. Can you control whether tragedy strikes? Never. But you can control the courage with which you meet it. By practicing this division, control versus uncontrollable, you carve away the noise of life. You stop wasting energy on battles already lost. Instead, you channel all your strength into what truly matters: your thoughts, your actions, your character. The freedom of letting go. The paradox is this: when you stop trying to control everything, you become freer. You are lighter. You are no longer enslaved by the impossible demand that the world must match your expectations. You begin to see life as it is, not as you wish it to be. Marcus knew that even emperors are powerless before fate, but he also knew that every individual has sovereignty over their response. The plague may strike, but patience is still a choice. Betrayal may cut deep, but forgiveness is still a choice. Death may be inevitable, but dignity is still a choice. This is not resignation. It is empowerment. By surrendering what is not yours, you sharpen your focus on what is. The present moment becomes lighter. The chaos becomes bearable. Practicing the principle. How do we practice this in our own lives? Marcus did not achieve calm through theory alone. He drilled it daily, like training for battle. He journaled his reminders, over and over, to anchor them in his mind. We can do the same. When worry arises, pause and ask, is this mine to control? If yes, act with reason. If no, release it. Try this today. List the 3 things consuming your mind. For each, draw a line. Controllable or uncontrollable. Commit to act only on the controllable. Watch how your stress lessens. Over time, this practice builds resilience. You will find yourself less shaken by disappointments, less enslaved by fear. You will discover, as Marcus did, that calm is not the absence of storms, but the mastery of self within them. A legacy of strength. 2,000 years later, Marcus Aurelius's calm still astonishes us because it was earned in the harshest conditions. He was not a monk in isolation. He was not a philosopher sheltered from reality. He was at the center of power, living in the most volatile seat of the ancient world. And yet, he lived the principle he taught: control the mind, release the rest. If Marcus Aurelius could endure war, plague, and betrayal without losing his inner peace, then surely we can face traffic, deadlines, rejection, and uncertainty with a steadier heart. The scale is different, but the principle is the same. And so we arrive at the first secret of his serenity, focusing only on what lies within your command. But Marcus did not stop there. He went further. He transformed every hardship into an opportunity for growth. In part 2, we will explore how he saw chaos not as punishment, but as a training ground for the soul. Chaos as a training ground for the soul. Marcus Aurelius did not see hardship as a curse. He saw it as a classroom. Every storm was a lesson. Every difficulty, a teacher. Chaos, in his eyes, was not the end of peace. It was the forge where true character is shaped. This perspective is radical. Most people recoil at the idea of suffering as opportunity. Pain feels like something to escape, not something to embrace. Yet Marcus, guided by Stoic philosophy, turned the common view upside down. He believed that adversity was not only inevitable, but essential for becoming wise, strong, and resilient. The philosophy of the forge. Imagine steel. Before it becomes a sword, it must be placed in fire, hammered, bent, and shaped. Without the heat, it remains brittle. Without the strikes, it lacks form. So it is with the human spirit. Marcus Aurelius believed chaos was the fire that purified the soul. It tested patience, sharpened resilience, and revealed strength hidden beneath comfort. Without trials, the soul remains soft. With them, it becomes unbreakable. In Meditations, he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the Stoic alchemy of adversity. What others call obstacles, Marcus called pathways. What others avoid, he transformed into stepping stones. Reframing the struggle. The secret lies in reframing. Chaos does not change. The world will still throw wars, betrayals, and illnesses. What changes is how you interpret those events. To Marcus, hardship was not something bad happening to me. It was life presenting me with material to practice virtue. Think about it. Courage cannot exist without fear. Patience cannot exist without frustration. Forgiveness cannot exist without offense. Strength cannot exist without struggle. Without chaos, virtues remain theoretical. With chaos, they come alive. When Rome was struck by plague, Marcus did not curse fate. He accepted it as his test. When wars erupted, he did not surrender to despair. He used them as training in leadership and endurance. Even when betrayal seeped into his circle, he chose to respond with reason rather than hatred. For Marcus, every hardship was a stage to practice philosophy, not in words, but in action. The universal application. What about us? We may not face barbarians at the border, but chaos surrounds us in other forms. A sudden illness, a lost job, a broken relationship, a dream that crumbles. These moments feel crushing. But if we borrow Marcus's lens, they can become training grounds. The stress of work becomes practice in patience. The criticism from others becomes practice in humility. The financial setback becomes practice in resilience. Even loneliness can become practice in self-sufficiency. Marcus invites us to stop asking, "Why me?" and to start asking, "What can I practice here?" This shift turns victims into students. It transforms suffering into strength. Modern parallels. Consider the athlete who trains by pushing muscles to their breaking point. The pain is real, but it builds endurance. Or the student who struggles through difficult problems, only to find clarity on the other side. The challenge is not punishment, it is preparation. Life, Marcus reminds us, works the same way. The universe trains us not by handing us ease, but by handing us obstacles. Chaos is not the enemy, it is the curriculum. The question is whether we are willing to learn, the courage to embrace the test. This perspective requires courage. It is easy to resent hardship. It is easy to collapse under the weight of unfairness. But Marcus challenges us to embrace the test with dignity. When insulted, practice restraint. When disappointed, practice acceptance. When hurt, practice forgiveness. Each act is training. Each moment of chaos is an opportunity to grow larger than the storm. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This was not a call to escape the world, but to engage it differently. To see every blow as a lesson, every fall as a step forward. The gift of adversity. The paradox is that the very things we wish away often become the foundation of our greatest growth. Many people look back on their hardest seasons and realize those were the times that shaped them most. Marcus knew this truth in the moment. He did not wait for hindsight. He recognized the gift hidden in the trial as it unfolded. Plague taught him compassion. War taught him discipline. Betrayal taught him self-control. Every wound became wisdom. Every scar became strength. If we adopt this same mindset, chaos becomes less frightening. Instead of running, we lean in. Instead of despair, we find purpose. Life stops being a series of random blows and becomes a series of deliberate lessons. Practical steps for us. How do we live this way? Like Marcus, we practice reframing daily. When difficulty strikes, ask, what virtue is life asking me to practice here? When pain arrives, ask, how can I let this strengthen me instead of weaken me? When chaos swirls, ask, what is the training hidden inside this trial? Try this. Think of one struggle you face right now. Instead of labeling it as bad, label it as training. Notice how your perspective shifts. The pain remains, but now it has purpose. And purpose makes endurance possible. A legacy of transformation. Marcus Aurelius left behind not only an empire, but a philosophy of resilience. He showed us that chaos is not to be feared, but welcomed as a teacher. His calm did not come from a life free of hardship. It came from facing hardship with the courage to learn. And if a man bearing the burdens of an empire could transform suffering into strength, then so can we. Our struggles may be smaller, but our opportunity is the same. Every moment of chaos is a training ground. Every obstacle, an invitation to grow. This is the second secret of Marcus Aurelius's calm. He did not flee from chaos, he transformed it. But there is one more layer to his serenity. Beyond control and beyond training, Marcus found peace by aligning himself with something larger, the order of nature and reason itself. In part 3, we will explore how trusting the universe allowed him to remain unshaken, even when the world burned around him. When we think of Marcus Aurelius, it is easy to imagine marble busts and ancient scrolls, images of a distant past, locked away in museums and history books. But Marcus was not simply a figure carved in stone. He was a man who lived in a world as chaotic, uncertain, and fragile as our own. His greatness did not come from ruling the vast Roman Empire. It came from his ability to govern himself. And nowhere is this more clear than in the way he put his wisdom into practice, transforming philosophy from words into action and calm into a way of life. Philosophy as a daily discipline. To Marcus, philosophy was not an abstract subject to be studied for leisure. It was a discipline, like training the body in the gym or practicing the movements of a soldier before battle. Philosophy was the gymnasium of the soul. Every day, Marcus wrote in his journal, what we now call meditations, not to impress others, but to remind himself how to live. He trained his mind to expect obstacles. He reminded himself that people would be selfish, cruel, or ignorant. He prepared himself for loss, disappointment, and change. This was not pessimism, it was preparation. By expecting life to be turbulent, he reduced the shock when storms arrived. As he wrote, "Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil." This daily rehearsal gave him calm in the heat of chaos. He wasn't blindsided when betrayal happened. He wasn't undone when events went differently than planned. He had trained himself to say, "I knew this would come. I am ready." Now imagine applying this discipline in our modern lives. What if, instead of waking up and expecting the day to be smooth, we prepared for difficulty? What if we started our mornings reminding ourselves that challenges are inevitable, but our response is always within our control? That is stoicism in action, accepting fate without surrendering agency. Another powerful practice Marcus embodied was what the Stoics called amor fati, the love of fate. To love fate is not to resign yourself to passivity. It is to embrace reality fully, without bitterness. Marcus constantly reminded himself, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything thrown into it." Whatever came his way, he sought to use it, not curse it. Think about that. When chaos erupted, Marcus asked, "How can I use this? How can this test shape me, refine me, strengthen me?" Most of us complain when things don't go our way. We curse traffic, delays, failures, unfair treatment. But Marcus flipped the script. To him, obstacles were not interruptions, they were opportunities. A difficult person was not a burden, but a chance to practice patience. A sudden change was not a disaster, but an invitation to adapt. A personal loss was not the end, but a reminder of life's fragility and the urgency to live meaningfully. This mindset does not come naturally. It requires constant effort. But imagine how liberating it is. If everything that happens can be fuel for growth, then nothing can truly defeat you. Chaos becomes the very material with which you build inner peace. Leading by example in the midst of crisis. It is one thing to practice philosophy in private. It is another to embody it while carrying the weight of an empire. Marcus did not live in a quiet monastery. He was surrounded by war, political intrigue, betrayal, and loss. And yet, he consistently returned to calm, measured action. During the Antonine Plague, which devastated Rome, Marcus did not abandon his people. He did not flee to safety, as many leaders might have. Instead, he stayed in the city, sharing in the suffering, organizing relief, and maintaining order. His calm was not passive, it was active, steadying those around him. When his generals betrayed him, when his closest allies disappointed him, when family members brought turmoil to his private life, Marcus refused to give in to anger or despair. He reminded himself, "If it is endurable, then endure it." Stop complaining. Imagine the pressure of ruling millions, facing endless petitions, crises, and threats, yet still maintaining composure. His life proves that calm is not the absence of pressure. It is the mastery of self under pressure. And this mastery comes from choosing principles over impulses, wisdom over reaction. Lessons for us today. So what does Marcus teach us about putting wisdom into action? Practice daily reflection. Like Marcus, we can journal, meditate, or simply pause each day to prepare for challenges. It is a mental rehearsal for resilience. Turn obstacles into opportunities. The next time you face frustration, ask, "What can I learn here? How can this strengthen me?" This shift transforms chaos into fuel. Lead with calmness. Whether you are a parent, a friend, a leader, or simply a member of your community, your calmness has a ripple effect. In storms, people look for anchors. By embodying calm, you become that anchor. Marcus Aurelius was not superhuman. He was a man who struggled, who failed, who doubted. But his greatness lies in how he chose, again and again, to return to calmness and wisdom. That is why his writings survive. That is why his example inspires. And that is why his philosophy remains relevant, not as distant theory, but as practical action we can live out today. As we close this journey into the mind of Marcus Aurelius, let us pause for a moment and reflect. We have seen how he remained calm in the face of chaos, not because the world around him was gentle, but because he disciplined his mind to be stronger than the storm. His calm was not an escape. It was a choice, a daily decision to live by wisdom, to transform obstacles into opportunities, and to lead with courage and composure. Now, ask yourself, how do you respond when chaos enters your life? When people disappoint you, when plans collapse, when events spiral beyond your control, do you collapse with them, or do you stand firm? Do you curse fate, or do you embrace it as your teacher? Marcus reminds us that calmness is not something you wait for. It is something you cultivate. He teaches us that real strength is quiet. It does not need to shout. It does not need to fight every battle. Real strength is the calm voice in the storm, the steady hand when others tremble, the fire that turns obstacles into fuel. That strength is within you. It does not belong only to emperors or philosophers. It belongs to anyone willing to train their mind, to master their emotions, and to live by principle rather than impulse. So today, let us carry Marcus's wisdom into our own lives. Let us remind ourselves each morning, I will face challenges, but I will not be broken. I will face people who test me, but I will not lose my integrity. I will face chaos, but I will remain calm. If you do this, slowly, steadily, you will build the same unshakable foundation that carried Marcus Aurelius through the storms of his empire. And now, I want to hear from you. What part of Marcus's wisdom speaks to you most deeply? Which lesson will you carry with you after watching this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read your reflections. If this message has inspired you, if you feel the power of ancient wisdom echoing into your own life, then I invite you to join us on this journey. Subscribe to Echoes of Wisdom. Share this video with someone who needs calm in their storm, and help us bring these timeless lessons to more people around the world. Because wisdom is not just for the past, it is for the present. And together, we can keep its flame alive. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Let's grow a community that turns chaos into calm and wisdom into action. The echoes of Marcus Aurelius are still here. Let us make sure they are heard.